Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Aaron, with my co-host, Mike. He says hi. We want to thank you all for watching on whatever podcast, videocast, or however streams you happen to be watching it on. And also, remember, to get more podcasts and more great content, remember to please subscribe below and also hit that like button. Thanks, everybody.
Go for it, Mike. No, it's Mike. It's
who wants to talk?
Show.
Choking Hazard Podcast, sponsored by nobody. With your host, Aaron Gollin, Michael Briers. Tonight, our guest is Janine Mocaiber, Janine Button. What do we call your last name? Janine Bean, or what do you go by these days?
Honestly, you can call me whatever you want. I don't care.
I'd ask.
I think people actually think my name's Janiner because of my Instagram. Yeah, they think that's what my name is. And I'm like, man, but most people don't speak English, right? So they think my name's Janiner.
Oh, really? That's funny.
I don't know.
Start calling you Boa Janine or Boa.
No. Well, thank you very much for coming on today. We do appreciate it. I know kind of like everybody's kind of all over the place, so just trying to figure out and find time. But the good thing is everybody's got a lot of time lately, so this kind of helps out. And we can just get it remotely out and all that kind of jazz. How have things been going? Like, I've seen you've done a lot of training online. How have it been keeping over there?
Well, things have been good. Like, I'm actually like in the middle of like a backlog right now with people for plans. It was funny, like when the quarantine started, I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? I think like you guys know the same thing, right? Like, okay, you guys go to Lifetime every day. You guys still work at Lifetime before.
Yeah.
Whoa. We don't mention that gym here.
We don't mention the name, but right now,
you guys still go to that place for money, right?
We're all furloughed right now, right? So it doesn't really matter.
You make it sound like we're prostitutes.
Well,
Well, you go to that place on the corner for money, right? We're gonna have to start doing that if this lockdown continues, but.
Well, I don't know, man. It's going to be hard for you guys, I think.
Yeah, we're in a little bit of a different situation, especially with it being in a big box. But as Mike cut you off, like, go ahead. What were you saying again?
It's okay. I'm used to Mike.
I didn't cut you off.
Yeah, like, I don't know. So, like, the big box are tough, right? Because, like, you have to be in person to get those hours in. And, like, that's the one thing that, like, made me, like, that's one thing I liked about it. But one reason why I wanted to leave, too, is, like, it's summertime. And everybody's like, yeah, I'm going to go on vacation. And then you have no clients. And you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Just sit here for minimum wage now because there's no one there? Mm-hmm. So that sucked. But, yeah, like, as soon as this happened, I was like, oh, shit. And then I just got, like, super productive. I don't know, like, the first week I was thinking we were going to have, like, these, like, secret underground trainings every single week and everything was going to be fine still at the gym. And then it was like, no, actually, everything's closed forever. So the first thing I did was I wrote, like, a little mini ebook that people could download for free. And I started my website, Mocaiber Fitness. And then I wrote my second ebook, which was basically like how to start changing habits and things like that, because there's so many people that were going to be working from home, and their excuse all the time is like, I never have time. I know you have guys that would come to do sessions with you and they'd say, oh, I can't make it today. I don't have time. And like, okay, now it's bullshit because you don't even drive to the office anymore. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of to like slap people in the face and be like, guys, like everybody can be like at least 1% better than what they are. And if you're always complaining about something being wrong, well, there's an opportunity for you guys here to make that 1% change, right? With like 10 minutes. So that was sort of the inspiration behind me doing that. And then at the same time, I was like, oh, well, like, let's get some online content, Igor. So I was sort of like on his tail for a while about doing videos. Like, I'd harass him like 24/7. Like, okay, can we film now? And he's like, can you just leave me alone? But so I started Mocaiber Online too, to put up like some jiu-jitsu content and then some strength and conditioning videos. So that one was tough because like I'm not really familiar with the site I was using, so it's hard, and I never used Vimeo. So yeah, that's what I started doing. And then like all of a sudden the people who wanted to train with me, like it was like a little like steady, like a few people. But then like this week, all of a sudden I had like too many people, and now I'm like, okay, that's the cap, no more. Sorry guys, can't help any more people right now. You guys are gonna have to wait. Anyway, that's sick. Like I don't know. I guess people.
No, that's awesome. It's again, like the biggest thing is taking opportunities, right, and utilizing, even if it's a bad situation, and you obviously capitalize on the issue, and then getting people involved. Like that's the biggest thing, right? So, awesome job. Like I've seen the site; it looks awesome. Like you said, a big thing is just putting content out and putting out more. It's like also send me the links to your ebooks, because we'll make sure people know about them.
Send the links over, and we'll post them up as well.
Cool. I will. I have one that's free, so everybody can have it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I mean. Like if it's like send us both, so like you know which ones you paid for, and then the free one as well. So we'll push it for you.
All right.
Want to ask you as well. Do you find you have more, I guess you could say, artistic freedom working kind of more independently like you are versus like working in a big box environment?
Yes. So I'll tell you exactly why. So like one of the biggest problems with me, like, so when I left RU Game, I left there like trying to try something new. Like I had never worked in a big box gym before. And that was the hesitance in Lifetime hiring me, is they're like, man, what does this girl want? She runs her own business. And I just wanted something different, right? Like, I don't know. I was going through one of those phases. Like I had just started jiu-jitsu, like, I want to say like it would have been a year and a half maybe prior when I got hired. I think I was like a brand new blue belt when I started working at Lifetime. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to hustle here. And am I allowed to say Lifetime now or no?
Yeah,
we're just joking.
Okay.
We're just fucking around.
We'll blank it out. We'll just say when I was working at beep.
But yeah, so like when I was at RU Game, like my monthly revenue was really good, and it was high. And then like I really liked all the people I trained with. Like I was training athletes all the time. It wasn't like I was training like 60-year-old obese people. I was training like people who are my age, people who are younger, people who are a little bit older, people getting ready for fitness competitions. Like I had a whole roster of like figure, bikini competitors. And then I stopped competing, even though I liked coaching. When I started at Lifetime, I kind of like threw my business kind of away, you know? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I think I wanted to get out of like being at home and being working, and like shut my brain off, because I think that was one of the biggest things too. I had started fascial stretch therapy. I was doing 10 clients a week at my house, and I think it was just like too much and not enough time to chill, which is my own fault. But and then when I went to Lifetime, I went into the gym, I did my job, and then I went home, and that's what I wanted from it. But then it ended up not being like that at all. And then when I left again, it gave me the opportunity to kind of like float my own boat again. And I wasn't really working on a lot of nutrition stuff. And when the pandemic kind of hit, I was like in the midst of like reading again about certain things. And so when it came, like it hit me, and I was like, oh, I'm prepared for this. I'm ready to give people some information. And then I was like, I'm not just going to be a bump on a log. And yeah, like, I don't know. That's it, I guess.
There you are.
Yeah, that worked out. No, that's amazing. So, like, what was kind of like the switch of like what made you go from like how'd you even start like getting into training jiu-jitsu? Because you were kind of training before, and then you kind of made a complete switch over.
So it's funny because like since I was like 16 or I think 17, I had been doing like conditioning classes at Bruckman's. Like the guy who ran the conditioning classes, Gord McPhail, he's a black belt now, but at the time he was a purple belt. And yeah, like I knew Govna from there. I knew Monkey since I was 17, and like him and Amber used to come, and Monkey and I used to like compete against each other in the classes. Amber used to be my partner on the nights where Monkey wasn't there, and Monkey's daughter was there. So like I knew everybody from that kind of location. Like I knew like I was training in the same classes sometimes as Antonio Carvalho because Gord was getting him ready for the UFC or whatever. So it was kind of exciting, like being around like people who had like these big goals, right? But I had no idea what jiu-jitsu was. I was just there. And like I would just get there and the mats would be, it was the puzzle mats at the old location. So they'd be like really sweaty and like,
you're like, thanks.
Just absorbing like all the sweat and the whatever people have onto the.
Yeah, it was so weird. I was like, okay, well, I don't know what they're doing here, but they're getting really sweaty, and that's fine. And then I was always, since I was 17, I was competing in fitness. I kind of flipped the switch because I was being a jackass. Just a typical teenager, like dealing with my angst and like whatever problems I thought I had in life, but they're not really that big of a deal. And then I was training for fitness. And then when I was 18, I started riding BMX. I started doing like some freestyle BMX stuff. I competed a couple times and I won the Toronto International Bike Show one year. And then I competed at the Jomo Pro in Joplin, Missouri. So yeah, like I was really into doing weird, crazy shit back then too. And then it was fun, but I had this like really bad concussion. I hit my head like really bad, and then I just couldn't get my thoughts together. I just remember like one day I was talking to myself. I was going to drop into a bowl, and I'm talking to myself, and I'm like, man, like I'm gonna like smash my head if I don't turn my wheel. And I couldn't like tell myself out loud to turn my wheel on my bike, and then I crashed again. And so I was like, shit, like I need to think about like longevity and, you know, like I think I'm gonna like take a break from this and keep doing like the bodybuilding thing, because then at least I don't like die accidentally. And then, so I was doing that until I was 22 or 23. And then I just got out of like a really long relationship, and I was trying to find myself, and I didn't know what the hell to do with myself. So I started doing, like some Muay Thai privates in exchange for nutrition. So, the first coach that I started training with, he was getting ready for a super fight. And so I started doing his nutrition, like I said, and then I did the privates with him. But I was like, man, like Muay Thai's boring. I'm sorry, but like this sucks. Can I do something else? Like, can you teach me how to do an armbar? So just killed one of our prior guests, Brett Kruger and Edwards, to go on. Sorry, it was just my opinion. And like I don't know, like it was like for me, like it just felt like it was something that was really like one dimensional, and I needed something like bigger than that. And then I was like, can you just teach me how to do an armbar? And he's like, no, you have to come to a class. So I bought a gi, I went to the class, and then like I fell in love right away. In the 9th grade, I did like one semester. Well, I signed up for the wrestling team late, so I did like one semester of wrestling, and it was probably the best thing I'd ever done in my life. I was like, oh, this is amazing. But I was playing competitive soccer, so I kind of had to pick. And then I was like, moved to another school. There was no wrestling team, couldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. So as soon as I went to jiu-jitsu, I was like, oh my God, this brings back my high school memories. Are so nostalgic. And I started going like every day after that. And yeah, it was just because I was just bored and I needed to try something new.
All right.
Nice. So,
and how long have you been training now?
In June, like the beginning or middle of June, it's been 5 years now.
Nice. What are so you mentioned you got into jiu-jitsu, you've been competing in a lot of different things like BMX, riding, did Muay Thai for a day and hated it, soccer, you name it. What are some of the things, is that how you kind of transition into like personal training, nutrition work, or is that something that you had an interest in, or you just decided to combine the two?
Okay, so actually I'll tell you the story about how I got hired as a trainer. So like I always used to, like I've always worn like, I don't know, like baggy, gigantic clothes and like covered myself up when I trained. Like I always used to be one of those like petty girls who was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're wearing a sports bra. And it just, anyways, I'm not petty anymore, guys. I'm 2020 and I'm changed. Anyway, so I used to go to this gym at the Y because it was close to my house when I moved to Oshawa. So my mom got us a membership. It was cheap, and we all went. So when I was getting ready for my first fitness competition, Platinum Fitness shut down, and it was like the big gym at the time at this place at Midtown Mall. And so we were at the Y, And I started training there all the time. And I was just finishing high school. And the guy who was the manager at the time, he's like, man, you train really, really hard. And he goes, and you're really good. Like, you have good form and you're strong. I said, thanks. He says, and like the workouts you do, like they make sense. And I'm like, okay, thanks. That's good, I guess. So he says, if you get certified, I'll hire you. So I signed up to do my Camp Fit Pro course because that was the one he told me to do. So I signed up to do it like the next day. And then I did it. And then I got hired. And then I started training people. And then I went to college. I went to school for my business diploma. And then I was training people all the way through. And that was my first job. Yeah. As a trainer. But
Yeah, no, that's amazing. It's funny how you hear that same story over and over. It's like people who never expected to be trainers, all of a sudden they become trainers because hey, you work out, you get certified, and then it kind of slowly grows from there. And then all these different avenues and pathways open up, right?
For sure. And like the biggest opportunity really came from Gord McPhail, who runs Are You Game. And like it was really cool because I was at the Y and like I'd go, like I said, like I'd go to their conditioning classes because it was on Tuesday nights at 9. Thursday nights when it was nice out, we would do like outdoor conditioning with like chains and tires. It was, it was cool. And then Saturday mornings. So I always went there. And one day they were going to move, I think, to their first location that was like on its own, but still close to Bruckman. So it was like around the corner. And I just remember like I was working for my dad's company and like, no offense, Dad, but it sucks to work for you if you listen to it.
I need to break free.
But yeah, like, and I was just like, it sucked. Like I was working 9 to 5. Like, yeah, there was flexibility where I could like have a go train on my lunch or whatever. But like, man, it sucked. It was like data analysis and I was doing like returns on investment for people. And I was like, man, this is so dumb. Like, this is so boring. Like I'm just sitting here all day and I'm too hyper. So, Gord's like, look, if you just quit your job, then I'll help you and we'll figure it out. And I was like, I don't know about that. Like, are you sure? And then like, I just remember getting like so stressed out all the time. And then I got really sick. And I got so sick that I was like, man, I'm sick because I'm stressed out from this job. So I quit. And then that was it. I started my training business and I was like, okay, like, fuck it. Let's just see what happens. And then it ended up working out for the best. And like, if I didn't have Gord, like kind of just like, just do it. Like I was working at Whippy Psych and it sucked too. And I used to hate it. And now I'm here and now I have a good like training thing going on. And he's training, like I said, like Antonio Carvalho, and he's training Mitch, who trains with Monkey and Sudbury. And he had his contract for the UFC. And I'm like, man, this is sick getting to train guys like that. So I quit and then I started and here I am.
That's awesome. It's good to see 2 out of 3 people on this podcast actually lift. You can guess who the third one is. But it's me, of course. But I wanted to ask you, you have a lot of competition experience. Do you find that you draw a lot of things from, like, let's say you competed in BMX, you competed as in a figure competition as well, correct?
I did like 13.
In jiu-jitsu. What are some things that are kind of for competition, like mindset? Like, what are some things that you take from each thing and that you can apply to jiu-jitsu or to life in general? I know I'm getting deep here.
How do I apply all these things to life? I don't know. Honestly, I think like I've become a little bit better of a person since jiu-jitsu. Also, Igor's like opened my eyes to a lot of shit that I do, like mostly because like there's like a big cultural difference, right? So he's like, man, like you guys need to slow down. Like you guys just like,
It's the Brazilian lifestyle. Hey man, let's just relax.
Yeah, but you know what? Like it's like I think I've changed a lot in the past few years. I don't know if it's like between like us like learning about different cultures or like jiu-jitsu or what, but I think I've changed a lot in the past few years. But I don't know, for like in terms of competing, like I remember being in a spelling bee when I was in the first grade and I was competing with these 2 twins that were like super smart. And I remember I was like, nah, I'm going to get this word right. And like, you guys are going to fuck up one of these words. I know you are. So I don't know. I think I've always just been competitive.
Oh, did we lose you?
I don't know. I'm frozen.
Yeah, you're frozen. Okay.
You're trapped.
No,
Okay,
no,
that's
she's
fine.
back. Now that she's
You're
back.
trapped. But you find that probably helps. Like you found at a very young age, you just hate losing, and when it comes to jiu-jitsu, you're just like, I'm gonna get this grip. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna knee on belly your face.
Well, when I was younger, my neighbor was a boy, right? I did honestly, I had a hard time making girlfriends, I think, because I liked all the stuff the guys did. And so we used to play hockey all the time. We played Mortal Kombat. And then we played this one game with his older sister. She was 10 years older than us, I think. And we would play Don't Let Her Grab You so she doesn't throw you into the pine bush. So, she used to take us and throw us into the pine if she got a hold of us.
The things you can get away with in the 90s.
Yeah, but man, we did we used to have we had the ditch because I lived in Newcastle, right? So it's a small town. So you'd have your front yard, and then there'd be the little ditch with the sewer hole thing, and so we would make jumps in the ditches. So ever since I was a kid, we would be jumping things. We'd just be doing crazy stuff. So I don't know if it was that I didn't want to lose so much as it was that I just had this weird fearless thing. One day I was on my friend's deck too. I just have all these stories about just remembering being ridiculous. And I'm you know what? Today's a good day to learn a handspring. So I jumped 2 feet into the onto the floor, and I broke my elbow.
Oh.
I was well, I guess that doesn't work.
Is that one of the worst injuries you've had, or you had some pretty bad injuries?
That's the only real super one.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. I think that's the only major bone. I broke my foot riding bikes, but I didn't do anything cool. I just I was doing a manual and I fell backwards.
Hey, no training injuries. That's good right now.
Well, I've had some, but they're definitely not that bad. I've seen some catastrophic stuff. I've seen David Mosley basically explode his knee 700 times all in 50-50.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, it just so happened, or maybe not his knee, but I just see him having these battles with his body just giving up on him.
his body's battles is just
there's a lot of
up.
That happens a lot. It's just the mind wants to do what the body just doesn't allow it to do, and then just something gives.
That's it. Yeah, it sucks.
It's called age. That's generally what happens.
Yeah. I've had my knee explode at Lifetime as well. Wait, I'm not supposed to say that. I had my knee explode at the gym that me and Aaron are working at. And I had to get carried out. That was fun.
Well, yours was actually pretty bad because Charlotte, what happened, we'll put context to the story, because they were Charlon was training for first competition, I think it was. And they were training takedowns, and Charlon was going for single legs. And Mike's just being Mike's you're not going to be able to take me down or anything like that. But Charlon shot really shallow.
I was being a dick, basically.
And he didn't have the full femur. He had basically just kind of wrapped around the tibia and the knee, and that was it. And so Charlon's trying to use his whole body to literally move his entire hit Mike, and basically dislocates Mike's knee, and then puts it back into place after he hears it pop. And it's oh my god!
I just went white. I was oh, put it back.
I mean, luckily nothing snapped. But it was
just
in and out.
Yeah, to put that in the context, my training partner at the time, Charlon, he's a national level powerlifter, and I think his deadlift at the time was 650, and he's about 185 pounds, maybe, if that. And I was just being a smart ass and hopping around and tripping him and, just trying to use jiu-jitsu against somebody who's just twice as powerful as me. And then he just got frustrated, grabbed my knee and basically ripped it in half.
Oh my god.
I was oh my god, put it back.
At will. He's probably you know what? I don't want Mike to have his knee on anymore. We're going to take it off now. And he's going to sit down. I'm going to That's probably
what he was thinking at the time. But he's so strong. He was just so powerful and explosive that those people are just so strong. They don't know how strong that they are. Just one motion, and then, there goes my leg.
That's it. we have this one chiropractor that trains at Gringos, and he's a white belt, but he does privates with Kevin and Breno, and man, like, so I went to go roll with them at the grading, and like I literally got off my flight from Nogi Worlds, I didn't even get a gi at home. I just went straight to the gym, and so I went to the grading, and then sure enough, like, he's like, the last roll, he goes, yeah, do you want to roll? And the first thing he does is like stack me, and I was like, oh my god, this is brutal. And then I think I rolled with him again, like, I don't know, maybe a week or so later, thinking like, oh, I was just tired from the grading. Man, no, this guy like ruined my life. He was so strong. And yeah, like, I think he's like, he focuses a lot on like core strength, and like I think he does like powerlifting or whatever too. He was a football player back in the day, but man, he's so.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So like, when you look at like, obviously like female jiu-jitsu is like starting to grow. Would you take that assessment as well? Like, I think it's getting bigger every year.
Yeah. So like, let me tell you how I feel about it. I feel like every year it gets bigger, and it's always big in like white and blue belt, and then all of a sudden like everybody just decides like, oh, we're all washed up at purple, brown, and black, so it's always empty. So you have this like major growth in the sport, and then you have like, well, now I'm a blue belt, now I'm a female, but now I'm also gonna be one of the statistics, like everyone else is a blue belt, and then they quit or whatever, I don't know, or they have life happen. But you know, like now I think you can still say like in the female like black belt divisions and brown belt divisions, like in all over the world for like majors, you're still seeing more people. Like I had a full like 4 fights at Euros brown belt, and like there's what, like 16 girls or something in my division. Like
that's a pretty good division.
What division was it? Was it lightweight?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and that's because you would even look like even 5 years ago, if you go to like a major tournament for female divisions, a lot of them are still combined. Like even if you go to an IBJJF, the brown and black belt divisions combined. If you go back even further than that, you can even see like purple, brown, and black was combined.
Yeah, it was
so
purple, brown, black.
There's a lot more females in there as well. But even what you mentioned, you said a lot of people drop off after purple belt. I've even noticed that I think even in the men's division, I think people maybe just they don't compete as much, or maybe there's a bit of an ego thing, and they're a purple belt and they don't want to get beat up by another purple belt. I don't know what it is, but I think that it happens. I think even in the men's division, I don't know what Aaron thinks, but I've seen that as well. Like I think there's more of a drop off between, especially blue to purple. I find.
Yeah, I would say.
Well, yeah, because
like
purple, for example,
for sure.
Sorry, go ahead, Janine.
Go for it.
I was just gonna say like. I went to Worlds in the female division. So like at Worlds, I competed. Oh, it says my neck connection's unstable. I'm probably frozen. Oh no.
No, you're live.
Okay.
You're live and well.
So yeah, like I had like 52 people in my division at blue belt in my second year, because my first year at blue belt that I went to Worlds, I was a medium heavy. I was a chunky monkey, and
you were just lifting. That's all.
Yeah, like pretty much. That's when I worked at the place.
The place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the place.
Yeah. And so my second year I was at lightweight. So there's like 52 people in my division, and then when I went in 2018 2019 as a purple belt, there were 24 in my division. So like basically half. You know.
Purple belt, did you do medium heavy or did you do lightweight? You said lightweight, right?
I did middle. So like I did middle. I'm between middle and light usually. Medium heavy was just like a 1 year thing because I was jacked, I guess. Or
you and me, I'm so swole. Busting out of my gi when I flex.
No, but like when I started, like I had to actually cut to middleweight when I was a white belt. But I think I had a lot more muscle back then because I was lifting a lot more anyway. But I stopped lifting for a whole year to make lightweight. I thought I needed to lose some muscle, which I definitely did. But I couldn't make lightweight unless I stopped lifting for a little bit.
It's an interesting question. Do you think you can be too muscular for jiu-jitsu, if that makes any sense?
I don't think it's necessarily that you can be too muscular. Like, because let's say you're like super lean, everybody would be like, oh, wow, you're jacked. You're so muscular. Like, no, you're just really lean. I think you can be training like to, I don't know, like just regular bodybuilding, like super strong where you're immobile.
Yeah.
You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're doing more like I'm gonna hit the pec deck, and then I'm gonna do some reverse flies, and then I'm gonna do some cable cross. So like a typical like bodybuilding. I'm gonna get ready for
more
like the show
repetition
routine.
based.
Yeah, and like I don't know, like for me, like that's one thing is like even like my first few years, I was always training. I don't know. I don't want to say like similar to a bodybuilder because I usually would follow like I worked with a coach named Matt Jansen, and I worked with another coach named Lane Norton. So both of them were actually really good. And Jansen was really like performance based. So a lot of his workouts had like different tempo controls, and like I remember one program he had me doing like some explosive stuff. Anyways, so on and so forth. So I think because the workouts I was always doing were always to like still be athletic, and then the workouts I was doing with Gord at RU Game were the same sort of thing. They were all like conditioning, or like for a lot of the guys who were getting ready for MMA fights, I think it complemented jiu-jitsu. So I never went through that phase except for when I worked at that place, because then I was just lifting. So I think I was like slower, but I think like I was doing more like pressure passing, like laying on people like I was 7,000 pounds instead of like going as fast as I can with the Toriano. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What do you think is like the optimal style, I guess you could say, of like strength and conditioning, would you say, for jiu-jitsu? Because you have a lot of experience, like, bodybuilding, powerlifting, like doing a lot of conditioning as well. What do you think is like the optimal mix for like a strength and conditioning routine for jiu-jitsu?
Okay, so like there's this guy, I don't actually even remember his name. I just followed him like yesterday. He was doing some conditioning with one guy who fought this weekend. What's his name? I don't know anybody's name from the UFC, to be honest. But anyways, he does like, I want to say like he does some like powerlifting and like strongman components, but then with like explosive stuff that's just body weight. So I like the combination of like the strongman movement. So then maybe you'd be doing like farmer's walks or like with a yoke or something like that. And then you have like deadlifts in the program. And then you'd also be doing like explosive, like squat jumps or something like that. Or like high jumps as high as you can. Just like anything that really adds like explosive power with weight or without weight. And then changing your breathing patterns. So you have to adapt to like different stimulus. Because let's say you're pushing a sled, and then all of a sudden there's no weight, and now you have to sprint as fast as you can. And then after that, you have to like, I don't know, do push-ups. You know what I mean? And then you have to do like the suplex toss thing with the medicine ball, whatever, you know? Or you pick up the stone, because people do that and they put it on their shoulder or whatever. I think like varying in there for a conditioning like workout is a really good way to really keep you in shape, for one. But I don't know, I think that like there's still merit in doing like some of these powerlifting movements, because you want to build more strength. But like pull-ups are really important. Like you have to do things that are going to help build relative strength, but you have to do things that are also going to help you just get stronger, period. As well as the little movements are important, because you need to use like the little tiny muscles in your body to stabilize everything else, right? So I think you have to find a plan that kind of fits full circle. So for example, off season, I'll do like 3 days a week of like the big three and some other stuff in between. And then in like the weeks coming, or a month before the tournament, I'll probably be gearing down into more of a conditioning focus. So I'm moving a little bit faster, you know what I mean? So I'm not going as heavy. So I don't know, that's worked for me. And I don't know, everybody's different, right? Some people like to do like static stretching. I don't like to do static stretching. So just an example.
Would you like, if you're training male and female, would you keep the programs kind of relatively similar, or would you kind of change them based on individuals?
Yeah, I think they have to be like completely different between male and female. Like that's one thing that has to, you have to understand that like females respond differently to like certain amounts of stress. So with women especially, like they need to make sure that they're resting enough, and they need to make sure, like especially with diet, that their diet has like either like a high carb day or surplus of carbs, or like they have like cheat meals, because it's more like a stress response that's going to stop them from either getting to the weight they need to be, or like they're going to slow down their performance. So as soon as you feel like performance is declining, either your carbs or your overall intake is too low, and your output is too high, so on and so forth. But yeah, so anyways, girls are definitely different than guys.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay. So when you kind of look at like for trying to peak out for competition based, right? When you look at, do you put more emphasis on your strength and conditioning? Is it more drilling, or is it like focusing on nutrition as well, or kind of combining everything all together?
I would say it's like a combination, but the kind of method that's worked for me, and I think like mentally I'm more focused too, is when I'm cutting, well, not when I'm responsibly cutting to lightweight, because there's times where I make lightweight and there's times where I like am a lightweight. Do you know what I mean? So it's different.
Yeah.
So when I'm cutting like to be a lightweight, not to just like be a dick, usually I'll be spending like I said, like I'll do like 2 or 3 times a week I'll do conditioning. Usually I train with my coach Farshad on, like every Friday I would meet with him, and getting closer we would do a lot more explosive stuff, more body weight, more agility, and then like all like the heavy stuff, like I still do some deadlifts and squats, but it would definitely change like in terms of like rep ranges, and like if I'd be doing like some stuff to get my heart rate up a little bit more. My nutrition was always like bang on getting ready, and I always tried to assess like at 8 weeks from when I was going to compete at a major, like what do I need to do? Do I need to lose 10 pounds? Do I need to lose like 3 pounds? Am I okay here? Because then that would determine like how aggressive or how strict I needed to be. And then drilling, I would say like getting closer to a tournament, I'm always trying to add like a bit more drilling than just like pohada all the time, just to kind of stay sharper, because some days where you're at the training, like we'll be rolling and you're getting closer to, if you feel like, okay, my body's done at like 6 rounds, sometimes you just have to listen to it instead of like, okay, I'm going to push it to 8 or 10, and then you get hurt on the 9th round, right? So to supplement for some of that, like let's say like I'm playing it safe, do the drills to just stay sharp at least, right?
Yeah. You mentioned what's a split that you find that works for you? So like let's say like a typical training week that's not COVID right now, like let's say pre-COVID, and there's like a tournament coming up, you're 8 weeks out, like let's say in a week, like how many times are you drilling per day? How many times are you rolling, strength and conditioning? Like what, like map out, like what would a typical week look like for you?
Okay. So usually we would have comp training like Monday through Thursday. And that would be like a really intense, like planned out days. And then Friday would be like, the guys wouldn't train, but because it was my sort of more relaxed day, I would come in and drill usually for maybe an hour. Usually I drill with Simon Hepworth. He's cool. He knows a lot of stuff. Like he thinks that he would say that he doesn't, but he does. And he helped me a lot. So I would drill with him for like that 1 hour. Then I'd have to work through the day at the gym, and then my women's class would start at 7. Sometimes I'd have to teach either Osmond's class at 6, or I'd teach the kids class at 5:30. And it was the comp kids. So we'd be still doing like a lot of like sequence drilling. And then I would sort of show quite a few times because the kids needed to kind of get it. And I found that the girls sort of liked learning the same way the kids do. Like, does that make sense? Like they like to do all the drills. They maybe the kids don't like to do the drills, but like the same amount of drills rather than just like, here's your technique and here we're going to roll. The girls like to do like, okay, we're going to do 30 Toriano passes, and then we're going to do 30 X passes, and so on and so forth. And so then I would train with the girls at night. Usually it wasn't like too crazy, because a lot of like sometimes we'd have beginners But depending on like who came that night, we might have like a really tough training. But yeah, so then I train again in the evening. But on Monday through Thursday, we do 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. comp training, like I said. And then I would go to teach my conditioning class in Pickering at 5:30 each day. So usually either I would do the conditioning class or I would do like some deadlifts or something right after. So that would be like, I would say 3 times a week there. And then in the evening after that, Mondays and Wednesdays, I was only going on Mondays. There was a wrestling practice at Toronto Top Team. So as soon as I finished, I'd drive to the wrestling practice. Igor and I would do the wrestling practice there. And then, yeah, so we would, at any night that, like, let's say it was Wednesday, because Tuesday was like a hard lifting day. In the morning was a Shark Tank day. Wednesday, I'd drill again at night. Thursday was a little bit easier because it was more like specific training. So then drill again at night. And then Saturday was like, it depended on if your body needed it, right? Like, so if you needed to rest, I would rest all day. If you're feeling like I want to go roll, maybe you'll go roll on Saturday at the 12 class for like an hour and a half. And then if I rested Saturday, then I would go to Marco's usually for his open mat on Sunday. And depending on the day again, like Igor and I might go to LA Fitness to lift or something like that in the evening. And then we sauna'd a lot too. We got memberships, like actually we were scamming the system and we had like 4-day passes for like 2 months. And,
I think it's like a personal trainer. I think you've been to like as many gyms as humanly possible, snuck into here, snuck into there.
Yeah, like at some point you're like, man, just whatever. And then eventually we just were like, okay, let's just sign up. It's fine. So they didn't give us like any runaround or anything. We're just like, yeah, like we just want to train. That's it. Here, sign the paper and we're done. But yeah, so then I think Igor, there's days where he'd go to the sauna like 3 times.
Trying to sweat, okay? Leave him alone.
Like, I don't know. For me, like, the sauna isn't, like, the most... Like, sometimes it was cool, but, like, I always associated it with cutting weight. So I didn't have, like, that, like, positive outlook at going to the sauna. But
you're psychologically, like, broken down from the sauna.
Well,
being locked in there. And
at Euros in 2019, I made weight. I made weight, like, on the dot. For Euros for lightweight. And like I sat in the sauna for 3 hours, and after the first hour I got out, I weighed myself and I had gained weight, and I was like, no, there's no way.
This is bullshit.
Like it was brutal. So I have a hard time associating the sauna with good things, but I started to get better. So getting like going into Euros this year, like I was just doing it to just relax, but also my weight was good, so it wasn't really, I kind of like dropped that like stigma I had with it.
Just relax.
Like, how many days before did you go for Euros?
This time I ended up fighting on Saturday, I think. So we got there on we left Sunday and we got there Monday morning. So we were there like all week. And then when we went the last time, the year before, this time I was fine, obviously. The time before, when I was a purple belt, I got there on same thing Monday, and then I was supposed to fight I think on Thursday. But what I did was I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna rest for 3 days, and my weight's gonna be fine. And then like the Wednesday, I was like, I think I gained like 2.5 or 3 kilos, and I was like,
oh jeez. It might have been like the plane ride over. You just like
probably water retention and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I think the worst part too was that like, I don't know, like because kilos with girls, like the lightweight category, you lose basically like half of a pound off of your actual weight. So usually you get like 141.5, and I think it's 141.1 when you switch it to kilos. So I was like, for somebody who's like, who's cutting weight, like a 0.4 of a pound is still a decent amount. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It sucked. It was awful. I was so miserable. It wasn't myself. But it was my fault because I was like enjoying Christmas. I was having a great time, and I was like, oh, I'll be fine. I don't need to cut weight. And then, and then I needed to sit in the sauna for 3 hours and die.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, just touching back on like women's jiu-jitsu and the growth of it, what are some things you would like to see to get more females involved in jiu-jitsu? Like in your experience, like you didn't like Muay Thai. Well, like what was the thing that, like, I guess what was like that spark for you to start jiu-jitsu, and like what could be done to get more females involved in jiu-jitsu as well?
Well, okay, so I guess the spark, like I said, like I was saying, like Muay Thai, I felt like it was one-dimensional. So how I would describe it is like, I think women, like think differently. So I think that if you go to jiu-jitsu and you have a bit more of an open mind that like, yes, someone's going to sweat on you. So like suck it up and get over it. It's fun. Like there's so many like directions and dimensions you can go into with jiu-jitsu. Like for example, like one concept leads you into like thousands and thousands and thousands of techniques. So then one aha moment is going to lead to like a whole like game being developed around it. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that if people like associate that kind of thing more, then they're going to be more geared towards it. But then again, I think like, okay, well, I'm thinking like this. Well, maybe I'm just a nerd, and that's why like rocket scientists like jiu-jitsu better than Muay Thai, because it's the same thing for them. You know what I mean? They see like all this algebra and fractions and quantum physics when they look at jiu-jitsu. But I don't know. Like I guess it depends on the way you think about it. So if girls look at it more of something where it's like really going to help open your mind, then okay, you know, if they think, oh, you know, maybe this will help me defend myself later, okay, then that's something you can think of too. But for myself, like that was never what I was thinking going into it. I was just like bored, right? And I wanted something to like go boom. But yeah, like, I don't know. I think like with girls too, I see a lot of people associating girls being more technical than guys. Like, they say like, oh, when you watch girls fight, like they're a lot more technical. I don't think that's necessarily always true, but I do think that they put, if I asked 5 girls to drill, that I'll say yes. If I asked 5 guys to drill, that I'll say no, let's roll. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I'm probably one of those guys. Let's just roll.
But yeah, like I think especially like to make it grow in Canada, like I think there's enough people here. I think the problem is that like either some people, I don't know if people are like boycotting certain tournaments, or like, for example, like the Abu Dhabi Pro, like there was 5 or 6 people registered in the 62. And I was like, okay, I'll throw my name on there. And, but no one committed to like the payment portion. And I'm like, at the time I was like broke. So I'm like, man, I hope somebody signs up, because then I'll justify spending the money. But no one signed up for it. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not competing. And then like the only other weight category is like your teammates, right? So it's only the people from like, let's say there's 3 of us from Gringos all signed up. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to fight them. We roll in the gym together every day. We're going to spend $100 to do this? No.
Yeah. Why spend money on a registration and to get a medal, and you guys are all on the same team. You all get the points. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's some people who are like down to fight internationally, but are like, yeah, no, fuck that, I'm not going to fight locally. Like maybe it's like an ego thing, like you said, like maybe it's like risking losing to somebody locally. I don't know, like I don't really know what goes through people's minds. Like there's times where I'm like nervous to fight people who are from here. Like for example, like Anastasia, I fought her twice now. Like her and I are friends now, because not that we weren't before, but we just never talked before really. But like I fought her at Toronto Open again this year, and like, yeah, I hadn't fought her since 2016 when I was a brand new blue belt. And I was like, well, shit, like, you know, I don't know, she won Worlds the next year as a blue belt. And then after that, like she disappeared. So I was like, well, maybe like this is going to be a really hard fight. So I got to take this seriously. So then I fought her at Toronto Open. Like, luckily I won, thanks God. And I worked hard, I guess. But, like I got nervous for that too. I'm like, shit, like I don't want to lose either, but I'm still going to put myself on the line. Mm-hmm. I don't know what goes through people's minds, but I think like if they had like big name tournament, like IBJJF, like people won't hesitate to sign up for IBJJF. People won't hesitate to sign up for AJP. Well, actually, yes, they did this year, but whatever. But yeah, like, I don't know, like maybe because they think like the local tournaments are more for like white and blue belts. Maybe it's their mentality. I don't know. Like Allison's always down to throw down. She's like, Janine, just let me know. I'll sign up and then we'll fight. Okay. And I was like, sure, Allison, just let me know where to go.
So when you kind of look at like all these different competitions that you've done over the years, like which ones have like really stuck out to you as like whether it's been like a big achievement for yourself or just a really memorial battle? Which ones are like your kind of like your top two, I guess you want to call it?
Oh, my top two. Oh God. Well, this year at Euros was sick. Like honestly, I wasn't expecting to go as a brown belt. I thought I was gonna go as a purple belt again and redeem myself. And then when I got off the plane and went to the grading, like the last thing I expected was to be promoted. Like Igor didn't even come. Igor was like, yeah, I'm going to stay home and sleep. And I was like, okay. And then like I'm standing there and then one of the guys looks at me and he's like, where's Igor? And I'm like, he didn't come. He's sleeping. And then he's like, oh shit. Cause no one was tying the belt for me around my waist. They're waiting for Igor to do it. I'm like, he's not here. Like, stop making me stand here.
Somebody call him and wake him up.
So yeah, like it's the Euros was cool. Like my first match, like I had a good plan and like I don't know. I think I had a good division where I was able to. I'm not the type of person who just like drops to the ground immediately to play guard because obviously like I'll do whatever. But it was good because like the girls are kind of feisty, so I got to get to where I wanted to be. And then my final match was against Margot, and she has a good like resume. And I don't think she's really good, so I think I lost by like an intelligence factor. Like I made a mistake that was just a matter of like me needing to be smarter, and she was smarter in that moment. And then, yeah, so I don't know, like that was good. Like it showed me where I stand, I guess, with some of these girls who are competing, like even against the top black belts. Like she fought Louisa, I think, and lost by an advantage at the Grand Slam in Los Angeles. So like the people who are fighting at that level who are like this close, I'm like, man, like for me to be able to fight them too now and see like, okay, like I didn't win, but I'm there. Like we can make it happen. You know what I mean? Like,
I think I watched the match that you're talking about, the one at Euros. I think basically what you're saying is you just lost by like maybe a small tactical mistake or whatever it is. It's not like, oh yeah, I got blown out by this person and it wasn't even close. Like it was a match that you could have won if you just maybe adjusted strategy or tactics or whatever in that moment.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think at the beginning of the match I took her down and I got 2 points. I timed the pull. Mm-hmm. And then like I think where I went wrong was there was one moment where like I sat down and like to go for that like double guard style like leg drag thing, and we got kind of tied up in 50-50, and then all of a sudden they decided to try to berimbolo her, and she's like known for her berimbolos, but I was like, oh, whatever. Anyway, it didn't end up bad. And then I had one moment where I thought like, because I was like, we were rolling, I guess because of her positioning, it was like she had my back and not actually had my back, but was near my back, so she got an advantage. And then I didn't know that as soon as I put her back in that half guard, or if I came up to grab her leg, that I wouldn't get 2 points. So as soon as I noticed that that wasn't a thing, I was like, fuck, like that was the 2 points that I was relying on to get back on top. And like that's probably why she just sat down like it was nothing. And then at the end, I tried to tie it up to go for a toe hold in like the last like 30 seconds, and I was rolling. And I think my toe hold, like how I had my legs triangled was too low to control her hip. So she still had the worm, so she was able to try to like come up with it. So she ended up getting a second advantage for throwing in a hook too. I ended up recovering, which was good, but I mean, you know. Anyway, so I ended up losing. It was 2-2 and 2 advantages to 1. But like the toe hold was like a go for broke thing, right? I was just like, man, I have to tie this up. So that was that. And then that was probably the most recent thing I've done, but one that I guess I'm proud of. And then beyond that, I don't like the things that they're running, like the tournaments that we did the Team Canada thing for, like they're actually really cool. and they're not bringing out like any jokers. Like somebody said like, oh, you guys like are lucky the Brazilians don't know about this. And I'm like, man, like I'm not worried about the Brazilians. Like these Europeans are crazy. Like I don't know if you've seen Fionn, but like Fionn's from Europe and Fionn's pretty good. So you can't discredit people from like Ireland. You can't discredit people from like Russia. Those Russian people are like this and they're squares, right? So,
And,
like,
Fion's a beast too. Like she's won worlds at
Yeah,
black belt. Like she's unreal.
like and so that's just it. Like I just I think those tournaments like are actually really good, and you're fighting people from all over. Like, and I think that was one thing that I had a leg up on when I went to Euros as a brown belt, was that some of these girls that I fought in Abu Dhabi in November, they actually were brown belts or black belts in the same weight division, and from Europe, right? So it was like, oh, I'm actually competing against these people who are a bit higher level than me, because at the time I was a purple belt. So it's a good experience for me to get to fight people who are like beyond my years and see where I kind of hang with them. So in 2018, I fought in the JJF is what they call it, I think, the Worlds there, and they ran it in Sweden. And I fought this girl, Maxine Thailand, and she trains at a Gracie Muay Thai San Diego. And she had won Worlds, I think it was 2017 as a black belt.
Yes,
And,
I believe you're correct. I think I was it. 2017.
Yeah, and so like I didn't know her because like at the time I wasn't really paying attention to anybody except for Bia and Louisa. And Tony comes to practice one day and he goes, "Oh, Janine, you have a IBJJF black belt world champion in your division." And then Gren goes like, "Yeah, well, you're gonna fuck her up too."
It's hilarious because I can actually see Fernando like saying that in like a Portuguese accent.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, like I don't care." And then it was so funny because like what's the Sheik's son's name is like
I know what you're talking about.
Faisal?
I know who you're talking about, but the name is not coming to me.
It's like Faisal or something like that. I don't know. But Estefan was supposed to fight him, and he was in Estefan's division. And like, so they started telling Estefan this, and Estefan, you could tell he's starting to get worried. Then it's like, yeah, fuck him too. Yeah, it was so funny. So like,
and you got your passports revoked, and now you're living.
That's it.
You're not allowed to leave.
But it was cool, right? So I got to fight this. I fought her in the final, and all the way through, I was fighting like, the girl before, the girl before was from either Thailand or Philippines. I don't know. She's a brown belt. The girl before that was a black belt from Belgium, and she fought a Mall in the final this year. But yeah, like all these girls were like actually decent. And so when I fought Maxine in the final, I was like, okay, like this isn't a battle of like jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu. This is a battle of like intelligence in the match. You know what I mean? Like I needed to make sure that like I outsmarted her, because I was like, man, she's got like years on me. So I asked Allison, I'm like, Allison, what should I do? And like, I don't know if you want to cut this part or not, but she's like, yeah, that guard is shit, Janine. You're just going to pass that guard and you're going to fuck that shit up. And I was like, okay.
Just fuck her up, yo.
Just fuck it up. Just go after her. That's it.
This is great tactical coaching advice. Shout out to
funny,
Allison Trombley. She's hearing this.
But like, I don't know, like I guess when people like give me like that sense of like not having a doubt, it really helps a lot. So I don't know, when Allison and Mike and her dad are around, like it's always a good time. And Jess too, but Jess doesn't use the internet. She just uses it to research like dissecting rats and stuff. So she got her black belt. And I don't know if anyone knows that. And she also fought some like world champs and stuff at a tournament in New Orleans, but like no one would know until they saw a random podium picture of her. And so she's really good. It's just she just dissects rats in her spare time when she's not doing
just low key.
Yeah.
Staying low, doing some biology homework.
That's it. But yeah, so whenever they're around, like it's always like a really fun trip. So yeah, like Sweden was like a really cool group of people, and then like having that experience was sick. Like this match went like we double pulled and I came up. She swept me with that mermaid sweep, and I felt like such a piece of shit. And then I swept back with she was like really overzealous to go for a knee bar, but I knew she liked leg locks. So as soon as she like spun for the knee bar, I used it to come up for the deep half sweep. Because just for the record, like for some reason I like it there. It's like my favorite guard. And
just works, you know.
And
if you can, sorry, but can you find that, if you have that match somewhere, can we post that?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think Elliot sent it to me so I can find it. I think I actually have it screen recorded on my phone. But
nice.
The last part of the match, so I swept back, and then like as soon as I like got into the sweep and got her off my leg, I just like blitzed past her guard and went like so I got another advantage, and then I was winning, right? Yeah, because I had the advantage for the double guard pull, so then I was winning, and then there's like 5 seconds left, and then I was like, oh my god. There's like, it's funny because she's Swedish, right? So like all of Sweden's cheering for her in Sweden in this world final, and then there's me and like the 10 Canadians that were with us, and they're like, woo!
And it just silence. Were the enemy of the state at the time.
Yeah, the first thing they did as soon as I walked off the mat is they drug tested me. They're like, yeah, come on.
You're on the bomb. Get over here.
That's amazing. So what are like, obviously when we get out of this whole COVID thing and things are going back, like what's kind of like the future goals that you've kind of set for yourself? I mean, like if there's any tournaments that we can get to in 2020 or beyond, like what's going on?
Oh man. Well, I guess we have to kind of wait and see what happens, right? Because we're kind of at this like, I don't know what's going to happen in 2020 ever thing. Like I got invited to do the submissions by the shore in California, but like I can't afford to just like leave, compete, and then come back and then be quarantined for another 2 weeks, because it's essentially like 3 weeks off, right? So I don't know.
Can you even go across? I don't even know.
I don't know. I think like you can leave, but then when you come back, there's like all these strict orders. So I don't know. Like I don't even think it's worth leaving, because like they're saying that if you get caught, then they'll put you in jail for 6 months, or like they'll charge you a huge fine. And like I know that there's lots of people who are willing to call the police on other people because they're like that. So
bunch of snitches.
Yeah.
Snitches get stitches.
No, they can't afford the hospital beds. Snitches and ditches.
That's it. But yeah, like there's like some gym owners that I know, and like they have like, whether it's competing people or like people who just own other like fitness businesses that are calling on each other. Like I don't know, it's just so risky because like some people are just snakes, man. So I got invited, and then I was like, I don't know if I can go, and I don't know if they just declared, like if they just extended the state of emergency or not, because I'm gonna get a lot of people unfollowing me.
You could say the politics here may not be the best. Would you agree, Janine?
Yeah, I would say the politics here would not be the best.
Okay, we'll leave that part in, okay, Aaron?
Okay. Yeah, we'll leave that. I'll take the other part out.
We'll keep that in the outtakes section, and we might release like a best of down the road.
Well, after like all cancel culture is kind of gone for a little bit, then I'll put it back out.
Yeah. We're just happy to have you on because you're officially our first female guest, so that we don't get canceled either.
Why are people threatening you because they're like, oh, you're sexist?
You don't have any females on. You don't have any females on between the age of 20 and 21, and
yeah, but you want to know what though? Like, here's the thing. Like, yeah. So I just finished watching South Park season. Hold on, I don't know which season. I'm gonna tell you which one it is. One sec.
Speaking of politically correct shows,
I can't find it. But anyway,
they've been on forever.
Yeah, forever. But I was watching the season, and it was a season with PC Principal, and they're like, oh, everybody needs to be like inclusive of everyone. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't, like, this is ridiculous. But anyways, I know like some of like the female black belts, no offense to them. I think they're like feminists. I'm not sure. but they're all arguing like over like equal rights for female pay and stuff like that. And to be honest, like Igor and I have talked about this, and I'm like, man, if you want to get paid the same as Buchecha, then win 11 world titles. Like, stop complaining. You won worlds once, okay, cool, but did you win it 11 times? Because he did.
I think, well, there's even a lot of black belt world champions. Like, look at like Letitia down in like San Diego. She's won worlds like several times. She has her own academy and gym down in South Bay. She's one of the biggest female teams, that probably one of the most respected, I think, female black belts that there is. And well, she probably does all right.
Yeah, all right, exactly.
Yeah.
She's not like a millionaire, but she probably does all right. And like, I mean, cool, Tama's got a gi named after her, and that's sick and all, but like, I don't know how much she reaps from that, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I would prefer to live in California, I think, myself, but like, you know, it's probably still like she has to grind. Like, I don't know how well Bia's doing. Like, Bia's won worlds now 8 times, and Bia's in Brazil right now, like at home. Like, I'm sure she's doing fine overall. Like, it's not like bad, but you know, how come Gordon Ryan's a millionaire and these guys have won worlds so many times and whatever? But mind you, then Gordon Ryan's beat everybody, so, and done all these super fights for money. So I don't take anything away from him either.
I think it could also be a marketing thing as well. Like, Gordon Ryan is on Instagram all the time talking mad shit to a lot of people. I think maybe like from a female standpoint, there could be more of a marketing thing. Like, let's say there's more females putting out DVDs and things like that, and then that could create opportunities to make. What's that?
OnlyFans.
Maybe not that. But
man, I didn't know what it was. I saw somebody had a link on their Instagram, and like, I was like, what is this? Like, because I see them posting a picture like in a bikini, and they're like link in bio. So I'm like, huh. Like, I want to see what she's up to because she's a black belt, right? So I go and I click it, and then it doesn't show anything. It's like restricted, and then I'm like, huh. So I Google, I'm like, what is OnlyFans? And then it's kind of like this like general description, but basically it's like it's nudie magazines on the internet of these people. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay.
My question is, for me and Aaron, for this podcast, in order for us to make money, because we've made so much money doing this, should we start an OnlyFans account?
Yes, you definitely should. But Aaron needs to get a wig.
No, man, there could be some people into receding hairlines out there. Don't sell them short.
Well, I don't know. You guys do whatever you want.
we're looking at some ways to monetize it. OnlyFans may be on the list. We'll see down the road if we get desperate. But last thing I wanted to ask you before we close. So we talk about like future for you. What do you see yourself doing in the next few years? Like, are you going to open a gym, a strength and conditioning facility? Like, have you thought that far ahead? What are some, now we're segueing into monetization and what you're going to do? What do you see yourself doing in the future that relates to that?
So first I want to say sorry because you asked me this before, and then we started joking about OnlyFans, so now we're back here.
Yes, so we're going to
apologize. Don't apologize.
Don't apologize. It was actually, you may have given us a very good idea to monetize the podcast. Go on.
Consultant.
Or a very bad idea, however you want to think about it.
One of the two. Rather go skyrocket or get canceled.
That's it. Boom. So yeah, like I think Igor and I both have like a goal to open our own place eventually one day. Like I've told him before, like I really want to compete competitively as a black belt before like I commit myself to like grinding hard into my own business. Like aside from the fact that I'm able to handle everything I'm doing now, like who knows, maybe I will be able to. Like I'm sure I can. Like you see people like Cyborg competing all the time, and he's running a successful business. And yeah, like I think we want to have our own thing. Like Igor actually went to school, and everybody probably just thinks he just does jiu-jitsu and like that's it. He's like a bum. That's all he's done all his life. But like he actually has a master's degree. He went to school for psychology. So,
nice.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so he's like, there's some depths to this guy other than just like hardcore Brazilian. But yeah, like I think he's a really good coach and he's really good with the kids. So I don't know, like I think we have some plans to like take that as like an aspect to like attach to the coaching and things. And yeah, like I don't know, I think we can offer something pretty cool. And I don't know, hopefully I can win some majors as a black belt to at least make people want to train with me. But yeah, like I don't know, I really like strength and conditioning, and I feel like I can like bring a lot of energy to those classes the same way I do with jiu-jitsu. So I don't know, I like doing both. But Igor is from a small town and so am I, so we'd like to move out of Toronto eventually. So that's the plan.
And try and keep it more to like a small town, build it from a small town type thing, or kind of stay within the city?
I think we want to be like in a small town like indefinitely. Like I think we don't like Toronto.
I mean, there's Toronto, and then we were going to talk about this on a previous podcast, but Brampton. I'm from Brampton. I'm allowed to say that.
Boo.
Brampton, get your shit together so we can start training again in Peel Region.
Oh man, in Durham it's fine. Like I grew up in Newcastle, that's part of Durham, and like they're like, yeah, we're opening, woo, we're good. Our numbers have been low the whole time, and then everybody else just shit the bed.
Well, what's really
Brampton
bad now
cases
is
are going up.
Windsor. Windsor's terrible.
Yeah.
Well,
Windsor,
winter's
Essex.
always terrible, no matter what it is. Like whether it's coronavirus, whether it's just a day in the life.
Shout out to Windsor, Essex, if anybody's listening from there.
Shout out to Seth.
Shout out to Seth. He's probably tipping a cow there or something.
Drinking the milk.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get somebody from Windsor on here soon.
Oh, we might have to get Seth on here.
Let's get Seth on then.
Oh god, you guys are gonna have to beep everything. Like that's it. Just like boop, boop. You're gonna have to put like those boxes over top of his face. You're gonna have to like blur out the whiskey and the tequila or whatever it is.
I put on the YouTube thing like this is not meant for kids. This is where we swear a lot. Like I just put it up there. That way we
Zero
don't get in
discretion
trouble.
is advised.
Oh, yeah.
Strongly
Like,
advised.
The day I get an email, I'll figure it out from there where to change it.
Well, did you know Gordon Ryan's girlfriend keeps getting kicked off Instagram because like she keeps posting like her like the captions, because her captions are always like, yeah, I love a big dick in the morning, or like she says but like the stuff that she says, I thought she was getting hacked. I thought her profile got hacked for like the first few months I was following her, and I'm like, man, like doesn't this girl know that this stuff says this? And then I just realized that's what she does. But then Instagram has been kicking her off for that, so she had to keep making new accounts, and so now all her stuff is like very like
PG?
this is what happened. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Gordon didn't clean the house today, and then the video is more vulgar than the wording. At least I don't know. It's funny. So
I think you probably look at like there's probably like bots and things that look for like nudity, pornography, stuff like that, and that's probably why they keep probably blocking her and kicking her off and all that stuff. Because you don't think you're supposed to be having that stuff on Instagram, but
yeah,
again,
but
there's only
Gordon
fans.
Ryan gets kicked off like every once in a while, and they send him emails, and then he fights it, and then they put him back on.
I don't know. I feel like that's just too much work. Like I just wanna be there and everything's fine. I don't need to fight Instagram.
But that's a totally different lifestyle, right? Because you're training clients, you're doing this, you're doing that, right? Where he's literally on Instagram all day long, and he's battling people all day long. Like it's quite comical. If you actually read some of the stuff he actually has battles with, it's amazing.
Well, I think Keenan, like he shut down his Instagram account because he got sick.
Yeah, they're on a beef, and he blocked them, and now him and Josh they're all beefing or whatever. But now, like apparently, Josh has been like running like every day. So he's lost like a bunch of weight. And so like Gordon's like, somebody give this guy a fucking sandwich. He's lost 60 pounds. It's hilarious.
It is pretty funny. Like some of the stuff is just absolutely amusing.
Oh my god. That's funny. No, I saw him because he's been running and he's lost so much weight. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Let that be a lesson to you. Don't run.
Don't run.
Don't run. Janine, me and Aaron want to thank you for coming on tonight.
No, thank you
had
so
a lot
much.
of fun. You've given us a lot of really good information just in your background in jiu-jitsu and like personal training. Is there anything you want to close with tonight? Any sponsors to thank? Anybody to shout out?
So I got Kings to thank for always making sure that I have a gi. Actually, Jeff Santos, above all, like he runs Fighters Market Canada, but like one time they accidentally gave me like an A4 Hyperfly gi when we were competing in Sweden. And it was like right before we were flying out. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this? And then Jeff's like, don't worry, I got you. Jeff drove a gi to me that same day to make sure I had a gi to wear. And then they ended up like figuring it out. They ended up getting me a gi that fit. But yeah, I remember like Andre Porfirio putting on my gi and it fit him like really well. And I'm like, yeah, like this is like an A4. Like what the hell is this? So yeah, Jeff's wicked. So he runs that and that's like in Concord. So it's like Vaughan, so not Brampton. And CBD Plus, which is like also known as Legacy Edibles, and St. Lawrence Juice. They've got really good juice.
Awesome. Janie, thank you so much for joining us today. Amazing conversation. Had a blast. Wish you all the best, especially with COVID. But hopefully everybody's back to normal very soon and we can all get training again.
Yeah, I hope so too. Oops.
We definitely want to have you on again at some point. Maybe in person. We'll make a trip down to Action Reaction. Me and Aaron will get beat up, and then we'll do a podcast after.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
I'm good with that too. Have a good night. Okay.
All right. Ciao.
All right.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody.